Fresh salmon. You might not like it now, but you will in about 5 minutes. Eating fresh salmon, though, is the perfect way to add a healthy dose of omega-3 fatty acids into your diet. And despite what the name says, fatty acids are actually good for you.
There's good fat and there's bad fat. This is good. Here to show us how to make salmon crab cakes is personal chef Bill Collins from chefbill.com. We could just call them salmon cakes, but then people might think it's a birthday cake or something.
Well, you know, that actually happens. A lot of people do put salmon in birthday cakes, and the disappointment that ensues every time.
Especially me. If you gave me that for my birthday, we would not be friends.
Frosting and candles, it doesn't go.
Okay, so how do we start this recipe?
Well, I just want to tell a little bit of why this recipe, why salmon cakes, because also a lot of people think of salmon cakes as traditional croquettes and potatoes, and it's a very mild flavor. And this is, I've taken a mid-Atlantic Maryland crab cake recipe and put salmon in. And you might want to say why. I'll say it for you. Why? Funny you should ask, because the thing is, a lot of people are allergic to shellfish. Some people also, if they're kosher and don't eat shellfish, this is a great substitution. Now, one other thing about this is I didn't use canned salmon, which I love canned salmon. I poached fresh salmon, so if you have leftovers, if you have grilled salmon, any way you have it already cooked will go really well with this recipe.
Oh, my friend actually said that she sent her husband out to get salmon and he got $48 worth of salmon, and she said, what are we going to do with all of it? Now I'll tell her. Now you know what to do.
I think we're good to go.
Hey, lady, if you're watching the show, make some salmon.
Her name's Corrine. Corrine, if you're watching the show, make some salmon cakes.
Yeah, we'll call them Corine cakes.
Corine cakes, there you go. So croquettes are crab cakes. Well, are cakes. What are croquettes?
Well, the croquettes, that's just what it's kind of the same thing.
Okay, it is. So we just call it croquette, not to be confused with a backyard party game.
Exactly, yes. So, first of all, I just want to say that all the foods, the fresh salmon, all of these things came from our friends at Whole Foods in Hadley, and I poached this salmon. It came out and actually salmon is very fast to poach. So if you want to get this just for it, you bring some water to a boil, throw in some vegetables, some carrots and onions, simmer it, throw in some white wine rather, not red. And this will cook in about 10-15 minutes.
But let's make cakes.
So what we have here, the thing about crab cakes is that everything, you just throw in all the ingredients.
Okay, so let's get started.
So I've got scallions. I've already mixed up some Tabasco and Worcestershire sauce.
Okay.
And don't throw in all that salt.
Ooh. And I've a plop of mustard.
I've got a little plop of mustard. Excellent plopping skills.
Thank you.
And I've got some, just a couple of eggs that I've beaten up there.
Okay, a couple of eggs. We throw it all in a bowl. Very good. Now, you mentioned you didn't use canned, but you could use canned if you wanted to.
You could, but it's not going to have just the same fresh flavor, because that's what really jumps out. If you're using fresh crab with this, or especially with the salmon, it's really fresh, and it just pops right out at you.
Okay.
Now, what do we do when it's all put together?
When it's all put together, we're going to split it up into 8 equal portions.
Oh, okay.
And you don't need a kitchen or a bathroom scale for that, and you can really just eyeball. And actually, you're actually very close to how you do that.
Oh.
Here's what I do. Once everything's all mixed up, I just kind of level it out, and then I just kind of draw across it that way. So now I've got it in quarters, and I'll take up about that much. So if you want to get your hands messy,
sure.
So you just do them about that size or a little bit bigger. You can actually go a bit bigger than that. So I'm going to, I'll put this right here. We're going to put them right there.
Here you go. You want another one?
We're going to let Chef Bill keep the messiness.
I figure I can just be the guy who's handing you dollops.
You can do that. And I'm just going to put a little olive oil in and put the pan back in the heat because it got a little bit too warm. But the next step, once you get your crab cake going, is you want a little coating.
Okay.
And I've got panko and cornmeal.
So what is this over here?
That's the breadcrumbs we forgot to put in, because I'm sitting here thinking,
I moved them out of your way.
I'm thinking, well, okay, it's live television. We can go a little moister.
You dropped
all of them?
All of it.
That's so funny, because I moved them out of your way to help you out.
No, the chef is always responsible for what happens in his kitchen. That's entirely my fault.
I'm sorry, Bill. That was my fault.
No, I'm thinking, wow, gee, maybe I didn't have enough salmon.
You're under pressure to make these salmon cakes in 4 minutes and take the breadcrumbs out of the way.
Now, that's a lovely texture that we have here.
What a texture.
That's the perfect texture for crab cakes.
See, now you won't make the mistake.
Exactly.
Right?
So,
Bill, a cautionary
at least you won't be on TV.
That's right.
Doing it.
Stay in school, or this could happen to you. So really, you just want to take a bit and just shape it like that. Now, the reason this is different from a croquette, and it's more like a crab cake, is because of the zippier flavors that you have in there. You've got the Worcestershire sauce. You've got the scallions, and the mustard has a little bit of a bite to it. All of these things just make it more more flavor. Because I said a croquette, most people call it, or a salmon patty, it's a very mild flavor thing. Also, it doesn't have the coating of the cornmeal and the breadcrumbs.
Now, Chef Bill, we're going to take a break for now, but my question is, the salmon's cooked, so that doesn't mean you need to cook it for a while. However, the egg is not, so how long does one cook these?
You really won't need to cook these just till they're browned on the outside, because the only thing, you're absolutely right, the only thing that's cooked, that needs cooking there is the egg. That'll cook rather quickly. You want to bring it up to, about 152 degrees, which is what egg cooks at.
Perfect. And
you really just warm it through. That'll cook the egg, and you're good to go.
And we're going to show those off a little bit later in the show, Chef
I think we will.
So we're going to show everyone how to make salmon bisque. That's coming up, and show off these salmon crab cakes. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chef Bill. Welcome back to Matt's Bill. We're back with personal chef Bill Collins, chefbill.com, but you know this guy. Now we're making salmon bisque.
But first, let's show off these beautiful salmon crab cakes that you made. All you did was put them right in the pan, brown them up, and they're ready to go.
That's it, because all you're doing, everything is cooking there except the egg. The egg cooks through, and all the other ingredients just give you a nice little wow.
I got to tell you, it looks classy.
Well, you know, thank you.
It looks,
it's Chef Bill, of course, right?
You know, it's not so expensive to make. You go to a restaurant and you order this, and you get 3 of them on a plate, and it's $15.
Exactly, and this is much less than that for more than that. I didn't even make the whole 1.5 pounds of salmon with this recipe, so you're going to get a lot more than that. So it's a better price performance, and if you're eating at home, nobody's going to try and throw you out of your seat to get the next party in for your table.
That's a great point, and you don't have to tip anybody.
Yeah, well, in theory.
Yeah, ideally, I mean, you got to tip yourself. But it's beyond that.
Yeah.
What are we going to do with the bisque?
Well, we've got 2 things. I've got a bisque that I've already made, and I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is to do it. Now, I mentioned earlier poaching the salmon, so you save the liquid from the salmon, which I've done here. If you've grilled it, there's not going to be liquid if you've grilled it. No. Get some seafood stock, because it'll give you that nice little oomphy seafood thing going.
Okay.
So we're putting a little bit of this into our...
we're putting some in, and I'm going to take the little lid out.
And that's tomato paste?
Just tomato paste.
Okay.
And that's your secret for you, you open both ends.
I open both ends, and then it'll just plop out. And
that's pretty brilliant.
It's a skill, thank you. So now I'm just tossing that in. So I'm just going to keep that at a simmer, and I've got some saffron here. So I'm throwing in, saffron and seafood go together like, well, saffron and seafood. It's just a great combo, and the flavor just gives it another dimension.
And you don't need a lot of it.
You don't need a lot of it, and so actually you want very little of it, because actually it costs literally thousands of dollars per pound.
Isn't
which is
that
why,
something?
Oh yeah, a little jar of it is really 0.02 ounces. So you can say, okay, I'll spring for that, but you buy a whole pound, no.
Well, which leads me to my next question. If someone's a little bit budget conscious, how important is the saffron to this recipe?
It is. You can get less expensive saffron. You can do without the saffron. It'll still be a very nice, robust flavor. Saffron oomph it up a bit.
Okay, so if you're really looking for that little oomph, spend a couple extra bucks.
Yes. So, and it's going to last you forever. And you can use it for other recipes, not just this one. Paella is a classic summer seafood rice dish. So, it's coming to a simmer slowly. Why not just dump it all in at once? Because you don't want it to all cool the pan down too quickly.
Okay.
So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour this in, and I'm going to just leave it for about 15 minutes.
You always answer the questions that I ask when I'm at home cooking.
I'm
like,
say,
why not do that? But you always answer it.
He makes my job so easy.
Well, well, that's if you guys want to go out for a cup of coffee, I could just talk to the fun. No. I don't want to make your job that easy.
No, good. Yeah.
But actually, so just pouring this in. You can pour it in faster as you get in there. Now, one other thing, and this will take about 15 minutes. You want it just to come to a simmer. Is I've got some Marsala wine, which is a fortified sweetened wine. You can use sherry, you can use port, any of those fortified wines. So you can see this color is a little bit darker. That's because it takes about 15 minutes to simmer and all the colors settle in.
I was going to say, once it cooks down, I imagine it gets a little more robust.
Exactly. So now this is ready to go. All I've done, I did thicken it just a little bit of cornstarch. What I do is I whisk it together with some water, and with the cornstarch, you see it's a bit thicker, and so now it's going to be screaming hot. Just add a little bit. You don't want a lot. Now, while this is rich, it does obviously have all that cream in there. Because it's rich, you're not having the same amount as if you were having a big pot of chicken soup. Perfect. That's exactly the garnish you want on top.
And now what I noticed you didn't throw all the salmon into the soup. You put the salmon on the bottom of the bowl.
Yep.
And then put the soup into it.
Exactly, because it's going to sink anyway. So this way, if you have a little mound of it, it kind of pops up, and it makes a really nicer presentation. And you really don't want to, as I say, give them a full bowl. This is more of an appetizer starter thing.
Okay.
And also, so while that cools down a little bit, what I've also got here is I made up a quick little mustard, almost a honey mustard, but no honey in it. A little sugar, a little, because I put vinegar in so many things, cider vinegar, olive oil. I like brown deli mustard. some scallions and chives, and that's a terrific a dipping sauce for the salmon crab cakes, because a lot of times people think of a remoulade, which is really a mayonnaise relishy thing. This is lighter because this is a lighter dish, and so especially summertime here, eat a bit lighter so you can make room for the bisque.
So it's nice and light. That'd be a really good dipping sauce for anything, I guess, right?
It is.
I use it for a lot of different things.
I
Oh,
really
chicken
use
tenders.
that. See, I use that for so many. That's kind of my go-to sauce for so many things. Whether you have some grilled chicken skewers, chicken tenders, because you've got the nice crunch going, especially if you've got tenders, as you've got the crunch going. Because remember, there's the panko and cornmeal coating on top of
In addition
those.
to the breadcrumbs.
Exactly, which are inside.
Which are
the added
definitely
breadcrumbs,
inside.
yeah. So you really got, it's great as an appetizer. It's great as an entree. You can make them smaller. I've made them almost, about the size of a quarter, and you can get about over 25 or 30 of those out of it. So it's a great little appetizer.
Oh, little mini ones.
It takes a little. Now you can make those ahead of time, just as you can make these ahead of time, and gently heat them in the oven if you want to serve them warm.
And there we have it, a couple of amazing ways to serve salmon that I bet you never thought of before. Thank you so much for stopping by today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Chef
And if you
Bill.
want a copy of these recipes, or any that we do them almost every day, you go to mymassappeal.com. That's the spot.
And the good news.